Welcome to our first show back after Easter, and we've got Reese.
Hello.
We've got Barbara.
Hi.
We've got everyone else in the back room. And right now we've got Keira.
Hi.
And I think that's everybody. So now I'm going to introduce you to some very special guests. Tim Curtis.
Hello everyone.
Welcome Tim. Emma.
Hello.
And Keira.
Hi.
And we've heard that you have been to an Olympic event.
Yes, we have.
What was it like?
Well, the Special Olympic World Games in Abu Dhabi was really, really exciting because it was the first time that me and Ella have been away, first of all, together in the event. And there was a lot of publicity. The racing was really good as well.
Was it hot in Abu Dhabi, Ella?
Yeah.
And will you tell everybody listening to the podcast what sport do you do in Special Olympics?
I did do cycling.
Cycling. What sort of cycle did you ride in Special Olympics?
I can't remember
What sort of cycle do you ride?
now. Trike.
A trike. Brilliant. And what sort of cycle do you ride in Special Olympics, Keira?
I have a two-wheel bike, and we call it a road bike, that I did in Abu Dhabi. I did a time trial, and also I did 2 road races as well.
A time trial and 2 road races. Ella, you didn't do a road race, did you?
No,
You did 2.
I did 2, I think.
You did 2 time trials.
2 time trials.
You did. One 500 metres, one 1 kilometre.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you get?
I think we're going to get onto that. Keira. Let's see. Have we answered your questions, Luke?
I've got another.
Oh, another question from Luke.
How did they start the races?
How did you start the... Keira, would you like to start the answer to that question?
Yeah, it was very interesting. So they're very different, a time trial to a road race. In a time trial, it's you and you go as fast as you can. So generally they hold you at the back. If you have 2 wheels, they hold you at the back of the saddle, that what your bum sits on. And then they'll give you a countdown and then they'll let go and then you start. But in a road race, you start all together in one line, so you line up, and then they'll do a countdown, and then you go as a bunch in a road race. That's how they start generally.
Do they use a gun or a horn or a whistle?
They usually use, I think they use the bell in Abu Dhabi. Sometimes use bells, sometimes they'll use whistles, sometimes in mainstream races, especially in track champs and national championships, they use like a starting gun, which I really don't like.
I don't like
It makes me jump,
it.
and then
And
I'm like, what am I doing? So that's how they do it generally.
And
So, people with, like, say if there were people with hearing impairments, how would that be
It's a
handled?
great question, Keira, because we were on the
No,
Formula One
don't.
track. They also used the traffic lighting system that there is at the Formula One track. So they flash the light red to green.
Yeah, in swimming though it's slightly different because my friend has a hearing impairment, and what she gets is a tap on the shoulder, or she gets there's a red light as well, or a tap on the back, depending if they're doing backstroke or front crawl, or depending on what they're doing. So generally it's a tap or a red light is shown.
But it was a great question here. There were quite a lot of the athletes from the Indian and the Pakistani team who did have a hearing impairment, and that's what they had to use when we were at the
Yes.
track. We also had I seem to remember an electronic noise, wasn't it? Beep, 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 go. Isn't that what they said? Isn't that how they started some of those races? Or is
Yeah.
that just they called the
Yeah,
time
I've seen
trial?
that on TV as well, where they do the beep, 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 and then
Well, in
go.
mainstream they use that in pursuits. If you've got like your own, sometimes you'll do like a team shoot where there's 4 riders, or if you're starting a time trial on the velodrome, or if you see it on the Olympics and stuff, then they'll use that system. But I think they did in Abu Dhabi as well.
But when Keira started her group road ride, her mass start in her road ride race, she just shot off. You could see Keira shooting off round the bend, and everyone else was still getting going.
Oh my god.
She's very fast.
Oh my word, I bet that was... Was it very nerve-wracking for the two of you?
Ella, do you want to talk? Were you nervous at Abu Dhabi?
No.
No, you weren't nervous. You had a race face, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
We were all nervous for you.
Yeah.
But it's true, Luke, she wasn't really nervous. She's practiced so long. She'd practiced 18 months to do this.
Really?
Keira's been practicing 5-6 years to do this sort of thing. So when you practice a lot to do something, what you hope is that you can do it on the day. And you did, Ella. You stepped up, and so did Keira. That's why they came back with medals.
Was there on arrival, was there an official opening and ceremony or a closing ceremony at the end?
Yeah, so at the start of the games, you have an opening ceremony where all the athletes from different countries, we walked out in a team, and that was in the stadium, the Zayed Stadium.
Was that the main venue?
Yes, that was like the main venue for the opening and closing ceremony. But in the cycling, we had an opening ceremony where I was very honoured because this is at the Formula 1 Grand Prix circuit, I got to read out the athlete's oath as the opening ceremony.
Well done.
Thank you.
What a great thing. Did that make you feel nervous?
Yeah, because there's lots of athletes that I haven't met before because they're from different countries, and especially we haven't had, World Games in that area of the world. So obviously it's really exciting, a little bit nerve-wracking too.
There were 3 sheikhs listening to you, as you were saying,
Yes.
the comments, and the world media. And this was at the Formula 1 racetrack.
Yes, the Grand
Here's
Prix,
the
yeah.
Special Olympics oath that Keira had to read out. It's on the back of Ella and Keira's team cycling shirts.
Ella, do you want to say it?
Let me win. Yeah, are you ready?
Come on.
Let's try it. We'll try it
Ready?
together.
And now we will hear our athlete Keira read the Olympic oath.
You ready? So let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempts.
Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. That's correct, isn't it, Ella?
Yeah.
Fantastic. That is absolutely splendid.
The stadium, the Zayed Stadium, where the opening ceremony was, had 50,000 people in it. So it was like being in a big football match or a big concert. It was busy, Ella, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We walked in with Lord Sebastian Coe, which some of your podcast listeners won't know who he is. But
who is he?
He was a famous gold medal Olympian middle distance runner for Great Britain.
Wow.
And he's now Lord Sebastian Coe. He's the chair of the International Olympic Committee. And he walked in, and he walked in with Keira and Ella and I. Guess who he tried to talk to out of us 3? Guess who he tried to speak to?
You?
Nope. Ella. And Ella blanked him, didn't you, Ella?
Oh, I don't know what that means.
She wouldn't talk to him no matter what
She
he said
wouldn't
to
talk
her.
to
She wouldn't
him.
say a word, would you?
Oh, Keira, man. Were you shy, Emma? Is that when it was?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
You still had a good time, though.
Yeah.
Did you meet
sounds
any
like...
famous athletes?
That's a good
It
question.
is a good question.
So my answer would be not whilst we were riding, but in the closing ceremony, over in Eastern Europe, they had these athletes that were introduced. So there was one which was a swimmer who dived into a pool in the arena, which I thought, what? There was a footballer who was there. There was so many different, athletes in different corners, and they were part of the show,
Yeah.
really. Oh, also, there was a singer, Keira, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know the film, The Greatest Showman, the
Yeah.
song This Is Me.
Yes.
Well, she sang that in the
I love
closing
that
ceremony. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And we had Nicole Scherzinger.
Yeah, Nicole Scherzinger as well was
And we had
there.
Louis Fonzi.
Louis Fonzi. We had.
Despacito.
I don't know those names.
But we did also we had
Avril Lavigne as well.
Avril Lavigne, and we had famous footballers were at the games like Didier Drogba and George Weah, who was once the World Footballer of the Year and is now President of Liberia. But they didn't really come to us at the cycling track. We did have a WWE star come to
he's
visit
called
you.
Finn. Yeah,
Finn,
I
yeah.
got to meet him. He was really cool.
But we didn't have any. We didn't get any cycling stars, did we? Come down to the Formula One track. Something we'd like to improve at the next Special Olympics World Games in Germany. We would love for some pro cyclists to come down and see us.
Could you invite us?
What to, Luke? What are you asking us to invite you to?
The next Olympics in Germany.
So the next Special Olympics World Games is in Germany in
It's
2023.
Next 4 years.
That's in 4 years' time. In 2 years, we have the next national games. Where's that? Ella, you know where that next national game is.
Burnley.
No, that's the World Games. It's where Grandma and Granddad live.
Liverpool.
It's in Liverpool.
Or can we come to that?
Well, I don't see why you shouldn't come to that.
It's our area, so it'd be really good if you guys could come.
And when Adam helps me organise my first regional race, my regional Special Olympics cycling race at the Brownlee track, it will be unified, so that will mean that we could have tandems and front end riders, Luke, so you could have a go at racing with us.
That'd be good.
I'd like to say something though.
Go on.
I don't like the starting pistols.
We won't use starting
We
pistols.
won't use starting pistols, don't worry.
They're too loud for me.
We'll probably at my Yorkshire regional competition, we will probably use our voices. 3, 2, 1, go. It won't be as busy as the stadium.
Or a whistle. Even a whistle.
That's a bit loud too, isn't it?
Well, that is not as... Actually, if even just 3, 2, 1 go over the microphones is enough.
Yeah, I think we probably would use that, wouldn't we, Ella, Keira? We would use that, I think.
Yeah.
If we're at Tameside, we'd just use 3, 2, 1, go, wouldn't we? That's our national competition place.
Where is Tameside? Oh, is that in Liverpool?
Manchester.
You're not far.
Ah,
It's in
not
Manchester.
far. No.
So they've got a cycle track there. Like we have one. We don't have one in Bradford at the moment, a cycle track for us to use to race on.
Yeah,
But
no.
we have one in Leeds.
It's
called
a closed
Boddington Track.
circuit though, so no cars can go on the circuit, so we are safe.
And we can adapt it to different sides. So Keira might ride a 25-kilometre road race, but
Yeah.
Ella might only ride a 500-metre time trial. So we can adjust the track. We can make it smaller or longer for who's racing.
Wow. That's clever.
Has anyone got a question about what Special Olympics is? What it actually is?
So how is it different to the normal Olympics? How does it work?
Well, the Olympics are for elite athletes who have no disabilities. The Paralympics are for people with a physical disability or a visual impairment, but only 3 sports in the Paralympics allow athletes with an intellectual disability or learning disability over here, and that is swimming, athletics and table tennis. But the Special Olympics are for people with a learning disability or an intellectual disability. That's what they generally use in Europe, Eurasia kind of countries. And then if you go to Abu Dhabi, they say people with determination. So that's the difference between the Olympics. And the Special Olympics are all year round, not just 4 years, every 4 years. And it's not just about elitism either. It's about friendships, it's about working together, and it's about trying your best and just do what you can do.
So are the Special Olympics different to the Paralympics?
Yes, very different, very different.
There's lots of ways they're different. Keira's described some of them. But
Yeah.
the big differences are that you can do Special Olympics every day of the week in a club if you do your sport. So Keira goes Special Olympics swimming. Ella, what day do you go Special Olympics swimming here in Bradford? What day is swimming? Tuesday nights at Shipley Pool, but Special Olympics cycling happens on a Saturday at Lister Park or the city centre.
So what other sports can you do in Special Olympics?
We've 27 sports, haven't we?
Yeah, there's many sports you can do.
We don't do all the Special Olympic sports, though, all in the UK, because Tim wants to start triathlon. We haven't got triathlon going yet, but that is one of the 27 sports. But we do about 19 of them regularly in the UK, across the whole country. So it's not just the big games that Keira and Elle have been to, it's every week just coming and playing.
So how many hours do you have to train?
Oh, some are also winter sports as well.
Yeah, that's true. There are winter sports too. And we've had our first Yorkshire winter sport athlete in the last Winter Games in Pyeongchang. She was an ice skater from Keighley.
We'll figure skater.
Wow.
But we've never had a Winter Games athlete before. Just like Ella sitting here in front of you, she's Yorkshire's first cyclist, Special Olympic medalist.
Yay.
And Keira, of course, is a treble gold medal winning Olympic cyclist.
Might I ask, Keira, how many medals have you won in total?
That's quite a big question because I do swimming as well, not just cycling. 151 medals.
150. Now that is amazing.
Thank you.
I would just want to say I am really happy for you.
Would you
Thank
like to
you.
feel some of Keira's gold medals?
We would love to.
Have you got one to pass one on, Keira?
I do, but these medals that you're going to be able to feel and be able to try and imagine what it's like, it's one of the medals I won in Abu Dhabi. So it'd be very
It's very
interesting
precious,
for
very
you.
precious to Keira, and this is one of her gold medals that she won.
I know, Hira, you had a question
Yeah, did we
before that
answer your question?
I don't think we did. I think I cut you off by accident. I'm sorry about that. And it was about how many days do you train?
Yeah, what was your question was about training, wasn't it, Keira?
Yeah, how many hours do you have to train each day?
So, Ella, how many times do you have to do turbo every day?
I think it's 2.
2 times turbo every day, so that's
times.
inside the house, Keira. That's not on the road. That's just on a turbo training machine on a 2-wheel bike, and that's 2 lots of 15 minutes. If she does nothing else, she has to do half an hour a day. But you also come out for a ride with me. Sometimes training rides. Sometimes you lead the ride.
Yeah.
That might happen 3 or 4 times a week. So that will be at least half an hour. And then on Saturday, Ella will usually spend an hour and a half cycling with me. So every day at least half an hour. Some days up to an hour, and other days maybe 2.5 hours. And it's not almost every day of the week. What about you, Keira?
So for me, I do this process which is called tapering if I'm doing a competition. So it means where you start off easy and then you go really hard and then easy and then you let your body rest for the games. So generally I train 5 days a week and then one of those days is swimming, and then going up to a games I do it 6 days a week, but sometimes it's double sessions. So on a Sunday, for example, I'd swim in the morning and then cycle in the afternoon. But yesterday I did a road race which was 30k, and that was a mainstream road race, and it was very hard and it was really cool.
But it was also part of your training, even though it was a race. It was
Yeah.
used by you for training. And Keira's quite correct as well when she says sometimes I didn't talk about that in Ella's training program. Ella, what do you do on Friday with Vicky Vogue?
Dance.
Yeah, what sort of dance?
Can't remember.
You do
Hip hop.
hip hop dance. So there's a lot of movement and core structure, strength in there. On Tuesday you go swimming,
Yeah.
and you go dance club at school as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just Keira and Ella don't just do the sport that they've got medals in. They do lots of sports all through the week. So that core strength, that's really important that you get from the other sports.
Just to pick on that point about the core strength is I work with the university and I work with a personal trainer who's called Lisa Latimer, and she helps me by working on my core, because when I came back from the last World Games in 2015, I couldn't even do a sit-up. I had no core at all. And the university came to me and said, we should be helping you. I said, yeah, you really should. So now I work with them.
This is not Adams University, is it, Keira? Can
No.
we be clear for the podcast?
No.
This
This
not
is
the University of
Bolton.
Bradford,
This is Bolton University.
It
Bolton University, which is local to me at home. And I do work on core stability as well. And that's every Wednesday. I have like physio on my back and things like that as well.
But Keira then also does coaching. So in between, she coaches young children to do balance ability riding, and you
Yeah,
coach
so
swimming
balance
as well.
bikes. I'm level 2 swimming teacher. I also do full-time college course and train and try and compete as well.
So she's quite busy here, and she has to squeeze a lot of training in along a busy life. Okay,
So how do you juggle training and college and the
it's Mum.
It's
she's over there
called
at the back.
management of mum, which is a diary, and if it goes in the diary, it gets done.
This is true, Keira. It's absolutely true, Keira. You can't do it without managing your time.
No, I really can't.
And you have to sacrifice things. You have to accept that you've got to get up early every day, or you can't go to a club, or
You can't go
out
to
partying, or
parties. You can't do many things.
There are things you've got to give up. You can't drink alcohol.
so
You
how
can't smoke. You
Don't
can't
you,
eat
like,
really
find
bad
it
foods
hard
all the
that-
time. Sorry.
don't you find it hard that all your friends are doing all these things, but like you have to?
Yeah, so to answer your question, I didn't have friends at school, so I didn't really have that experience of going out and things like that. But I have friends during my sports, so my way of having friends and enjoying my time is through my sport. But also, because sometimes in our club, so for swimming, for example, we'll have, like a awards evening night where you can do a competition and things like that before that, and you can get like trophies or medals depending on like how well you've done like through the year. And I know they also do sports awards, so
Yeah,
I know
you've had
you
Bolton
guys have
Sports
it.
Awards as well,
We
haven't
have it in Bolton. Different boroughs do that as well, and that's not just Special Olympics. The sports awards, that's the whole borough as well as like mainstream.
So I guess what you're trying to say is your way of going out and enjoying things is really to do with sports and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't really do it at any other time.
No.
It's a bit different for you, Ella. You go out still sometimes, don't you?
Yeah.
But Ella doesn't drink alcohol. She doesn't smoke. We do have to manage what you eat, don't we? Have to really be careful when you're in competition training. We have to think about what you're eating, don't we?
Yeah.
And she has to keep balancing it with her exercise, which all of you will do.
it's obviously a lot. Everybody obviously puts so much effort into it.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about recognition as well, because it's some, Olympic athletes, they get buildings named after them. They get a post box painted gold, and we don't get those luxuries.
No.
But it's saying that we train as hard as them,
Yeah.
but yet we should get some sort of recognition as well, which we are doing today.
It's a very
An
interesting point,
example.
Keira, and it relates to
So-
something Keira was asking earlier about how is it different, Olympics and Paralympics. Olympics movement has been going on since the early 1900s and was amateur for a lot of its life. It's only been in the last sort of 40, 50 years that you've been able to get people paid to be at the top end of their sport. Paralympics is 70 years old as a movement. I know because I've got an exhibition on at the moment at Cartwright Hall that's celebrating the history of the Paralympic movement from Stoke Mandeville. And it's only been the last 20 or so years that Paralympic athletes have been getting central funding from government, and it's taken till now till they're at a similar level to mainstream athletes. Special Olympics is 50 years old, so it's 20 years behind. 40 years in GB,
Yeah, but 50,
but 50 in
international.
internationally. And Special Olympics doesn't get any central funding at all for its athletes or coaches or structure. So it's entirely relying on people sponsoring and supporting by charity and volunteer work, which is very much like what the Olympics originally was like and what Paralympics was like 20 or 30 years ago. So I like to hope that we're moving towards maybe this will be funded at some point, but there's nothing at the moment saying that athletes would be able to be paid for being an elite athlete, which is another way it's different here than the Olympics. You could be Usain Bolt and you get paid by Nike just to be on their adverts, and you could go and turn up at track meetings and get big prize money and just for turning up even without winning. Whereas our Special Olympic athletes, they don't get paid anything for doing what they're doing, and us coaches, us volunteers, it's all volunteer work. We don't get paid at all for doing what we're doing. So it'd be nice one day for that to change, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so haven't you thought of ever, like, I don't know, politicizing it and saying, well, we do the Special Olympics, but we do train as hard as everyone else, and we should get the same recognition as everyone else.
That is exactly what you do a lot, Keira, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do. I go into schools and universities in different areas, and I do speak to people about that incorporal. Well, saying that, look, okay, you support the others, I get that, that's fantastic, but it's our turn now. And we need your support, and let's come together and make something happen, because it's time now.
And we were saying before, it's difficult,
happen.
isn't it? It's difficult to know who's sponsoring Special Olympics in the world, and then whether we can talk to them locally or not, and whether we can go for another sponsor. But Keira does get to go to all these big occasions and dinners as an ambassador for Special Olympics in Great Britain and Eurasia. And you get to sit next to some quite important, powerful people.
I am
and
very
ask them these
lucky.
questions.
And how does it feel, Keira?
Well, it's quite an interesting question. I do feel very lucky because I know lots of athletes, they want their voices to be heard. And I just want them to know that I'm here to help their voices be heard in those corporal and big, open-winded conversations, that their opinions are going to be listened to and they will be acted on, and I'm there to help. And my own voice to be heard as well, because I've got opinions too that will be listened to.
Which is one of the reasons you're here today, Keira, isn't it? You're actually helping Ella find her voice today. She stood in front of the Hazelbeck Special School, the post-16, the Key Stage 3 and above, and spoke to everybody in public, didn't you? And you've done some talking now on the radio.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why Keira's here today, not just to spread the word about Special Olympics, but to help Ella.
On the day
of the race, mate.
Yes.
Yeah.
To Keira and Emma, how did it feel walking out onto the tracks?
How did it feel? I was excited because it was a well-known track, and not very many people can say that they've done what I've done to be able to race all the way around. What about you, Ella?
I feel happy.
What else? Okay.
Was anybody shouting your name?
No.
I think there might have been. Who was up on the grandstand shouting your name?
I did. I shouted it.
Well, there was all your team.
Yeah.
Who else was up on the grandstand shouting your name when you went out?
Neve.
Who's-
Ben.
And who else?
Granddad.
Yeah.
Grandma.
You had a lot of family there, didn't you?
15
Yeah.
members, the
15
family
members
out
of your
there.
family there shouting at you when
Yeah.
you were coming out on the track.
Yeah.
But I don't know how she felt, Luke, but I walked out with her on the track both times she was racing, and she was, I can't speak for how she felt, but she wasn't, I can tell you, she was not nervous at all. She was not even slightly nervous. She had a job to do and she was going to go do it, and that was the same for our KB sat here. They were both proper professional, really elite about how they went about their job. I can't fault them, and it's the same is true for all 12 of our athletes.
So how did you both feel when you got your medals? Because I know yours is quite heavy, so.
Yeah. No, for me, I was really, really happy because I knew that I got the 3 golds in LA, and I really, really, really hoped that I could do it again and come home with the 3 golds. And I remember one of our teammates, Leanne, who I'm really close friends with, she said, "I know you can do it." And I said, "Well, I hope, don't jinx it, right?" And she, and then I did get it. And she goes, "I told you." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're never too sure if you are or not."
Can't be arrogant and assume, can you? Before we moved to Ella, what would your dad wanted something when you finished? What was it your dad was after when you got on the podium and you got your medal?
Oh, in LA, I did this dance of, I was stood on, I'll try and describe it to you. I was stood behind the podium and I had my medal around my neck. And in LA, I had 2 hands up in the air. And he took that photo. And he wanted another one in Abu Dhabi, the same stance with a medal. So then,
what's he doing with these pictures? Is he going to put them on his desk? Is that what he wants? He wants to see them.
yeah, he wants to see them. And I also do public speaking. So when I do PowerPoints, I use photos on the screen and on my iPad, so I can do that. And he does have them at work because I know people always ask, how's she done and things like that. And even children that even my mum has worked with, they got they've got to do lessons with her, but all they care about is what did Keira do, But Ella, what do you think?
When you got your medal, I've got a picture here, Ella, of you getting your medal.
Yeah.
How did you? What Hira asked you was, how did you feel when you were getting your medal?
What does that photo
Were
say?
you excited? Were you nervous? Were you?
I feel excited. But,
Go on, I'm talking on you.
because the man gave me the medals and came third.
You did come third. The man that she's talking about that's giving her the medals, he was another sheikh, one of the UAE sheikhs.
Like
So he was
royalty.
just a man that gave her the medal. It
They're
was
like
someone
royalty.
from the royal
really.
family.
The
gave her
sheikhs are like royalty over there. So our royal family, the king, the queen, princesses, princes.
And they all sat
it's
with
like,
their families,
yeah,
didn't
the sheikhs, they're like royalty over there. So.
And so when Kira's mum, Jackie, and Ella's 15 family were sat in the grandstand, they were all sat with this royalty, with these royal families. And Ella said, sorry Luke, Ella said,
Excuse me,
go on.
before you say this, why do they call their royalty sheikhs?
I think
Where does it come
It's an
from?
Arabic word,
it is.
and it means that you're the leader of that family, of that group.
Ah.
It's like a sign of respect. So if you have a piece of land over here, you'd be like, your lordship, because you own that kind of thing. And I think it's a bit like that. It's a sense of respect, and we call it the hierarchy in the way that things, they come in order. And I think that's why they call them the sheikh, because they're, idolised of this, respectful, proud person of the family.
I see. Now I understand where it comes from. Thank you. What were you going to tell me,
Because
Tim?
Ella said something about third, if you remember, when she was answering her question.
Yeah.
Now that is important. She's not just chucked that out because she got a bronze medal. What I remember her doing, if you don't mind me saying it, she came out from the back to come and stand in front of her. The podium has all the numbers of the places of the people in the race from 1 to 8.
Right.
And you go and stand behind the number where you've come in the race, and then you go and get your ribbon or your medal for where you come in the race. Ella came out, and the first thing she did was look over the top and look down to check that it was number 3 that she stood in front of. Oh yeah, I've got a 3rd place. And then she put both her hands in the air and did a little cheer. And
That's
so I
great.
think that tells you more in her actions than she could say in words, I think, Keira, about how she felt. I think she was really happy and was just double checking that she had got a 3rd. And then, yeah, she got a medal off the nice man. And that made you happy, didn't it?
Yeah.
I was crying like a baby.
Oh,
yeah.
I bet. It's
So was
so
Jackie.
good. It's just so great, isn't it? I mean, it must be for parents, for parents of students who have entered, it's a good thing,
It's amazing.
isn't it? And I just want to say it would be good to do something. It would be good to look into something like this in more depth.
Well, yeah, and we already know that you want to race, Luke. We know you're doing the Coast to Coast Challenge on your bike.
We are.
And don't worry, Tim and Adam know you want to race. We're trying to sort it out. We have to have what's called a unified race, though. We have to follow Special Olympics unified rules, so we can have Special Olympics category races, but then we can have other things like modified cycles with a tandem, for example, a sighted leader and someone with a visual impairment on the back. We have to have I have to get special sanction dispensation to do that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'll be doing.
But for the blind people, no starting pistols.
No starting pistols. We wouldn't anyway, Luke. Not at our little regional race. where there's a
No,
special system.
little things.
Yeah, we'd be going 3, 2, 1, go. That's how we do it.
That's how small things do it. But yes, it would be something really good, I think.
Well, this is it, and you're right in the spirit of Special Olympics. Games every week, activities every week, every day of the week. Have you got a question, Royce? You look like you're bursting to ask.
How did you do this?
How did you get to do it?
Yeah.
Do you want to start, Keira?
Yeah. Do you mean for the World Games? Yeah. Okay. So what happens is for the World Games is you apply for a place to go as a part of the Special Olympics Great Britain squad, and then it goes into a process which is called selection process, where these people look at your application. So it's all wrote down. It's all written down on pieces of paper, the reason why you want to do it, and it explains everything about you that they need to know. And they go through this pieces of paper. Every athlete does it from every country, and it's called selection. And they pick the people, so this group of people pick the people that they think should be on the squad. And that's how it works. So you get selected. But there's different divisions. So Division 1, and then Ella, I think you're
Division 3.
Division 3. And if there's also a criteria, which is a paperwork that you have to look at and see if you fit into that. So sometimes they'll say, I want 3 riders for such a division. There's 1 slot for 1 person division, whatever it is, and then they will choose, and that's how you get.
Explain division,
get
and that's
selected.
we're back into going back to one of those original brilliant questions. What's different about Special Olympics, Paralympics, and Olympics is we division our athletes. So everybody could turn up to a cycling event, and it shouldn't really matter how old you are, whether you're male or female, or even how long you've been doing this event. What should happen is the coaches and event organisers should be able to look at all the cyclists and put people of a similar ability into races against each other.
Yeah, it's your ability
It doesn't
level.
always work as smoothly as that, but underpinning the whole spirit of Special Olympics is this core idea, and that's something that's very different than any other Olympic Games. So to go back to Kira's question, you need to be selected,
First of all, yeah.
and you need on those bits of paper, some of the things you'd have written down on those bits of paper are other times that you had done Special Olympic competitions. Because in order to be selected, you have to have done competition
you have to go
pathways.
to nationals.
So you might have to go to a sanctioned game, a
World
national
Games.
competition, every 4 years national games, or a regional competition that's been sanctioned as part of Special Olympic pathway. And to do that, you would have to join a Special Olympics registered affiliated club. So here in
Well, you get
Bradford,
some
it's
number.
Bradford Disability Sport and Leisure. And
You
who is
get-
your club in Bolton? Who are you affiliated to?
Cheshire North West.
Cheshire North West.
But you have to have a SAM number, which is like an ID number. So you know how you have your ID passes to say who you
for
are.
Henshaws or for the University
Yeah,
of Bradford.
you have an ID pass. Well, and you get like an ID number. Well, that number, we have one which is called the SAM number, which tells us the people who we are, and it's like a database and things like that. And
It'll
you have
tell
to get
about
one of
medical
them.
conditions, won't it? It'll tell you
Yeah,
about
so any
learning
information that they need to
disabilities.
know about you, it will say. And you need a SAM number to be able to compete in. It's
So
a
you're
very
trying
long
to,
story.
you guys are trying to get 4 or 5 people, new numbers over in the northwest for the Liverpool game.
Yeah, we're
And we're trying
going
to get
through
about
that
12
process.
people, new numbers over here in Yorkshire and Bradford for the Liverpool game. So yeah, Keira's competition pathway to get to the World Games, just to finally finish your question. Keira's competition pathway went national competition in Tameside, where you got a gold medal, and then national games at Sheffield, where you got a gold medal. No,
Silvers.
silver medals, because you had to race all the lads in that competition because there were not any lasses who were fast enough to race you. And then Ella's competition pathway went Tameside, national games, and then national games in Sheffield, and then Special Olympics, World Games. So you have to have done a national competition, and probably you have to have done another sort of games as well, too, because you've got to go and live away from home, haven't you, Ella? You've got to go and live away from your family.
Yeah,
Who did you share a room with in the competition? Who did you share with?
Natalie.
You shared with Natalie, so you've got to stay away from your family and your friends. The World Games is two and a bit weeks. The National Games is a week. And even if you go to the national competition, that's still a weekend. And for some people, that's a hard thing, being away from your house
Oh,
and what you're doing.
I've experienced being away on residentials, and
Yeah, it's a similar thing.
I really loved it, and I still, and I think something like this for us who are doing the coast to coast and stuff might be something, if some of us are free, depending on, it might be something really exciting and really, it doesn't matter if it's achievable or not. I mean, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be as competitive, but it might be something to experience.
This is true. There's a space, isn't there, for it not to be competitive. But honestly, most people are quite competitive. Ella is competitive. She's not said a lot here, but she meant to get a medal. Keira's competitive. They want to win.
Oh,
Our athletes want to win.
Oh yeah, because it is about having friends and things like that. But you don't train, you know. To be honest, I know I shouldn't really be saying it like this, but you don't go through all those hours of training and not go there not to win. Because you're training to try your best. And everybody aims to get the gold. And you know what? It is about trying your best. And it doesn't matter where you get, because you're always going to have your friends there cheering you on. Your family's going to be there. And as long as you try your best, that's all you can ask for. You can be proud of yourself.
I think that's what I meant by you lot being competitive.
get,
They
you know.
don't all want to win the gold, although they quite like to. But they are.
But it's
all
about trying
they're
your
competitive.
best.
They all
It's
want
all
to
about
make sure they
trying
do
your
their
best.
very best that they can do. And whether that's 8th place. Ella, you got. What's this one? What's this one here?
This one.
What is that?
And that it's third.
Third place, a bronze medal. But this one here, that's not 3rd place, is it? What's
No,
that one?
This is 6th place.
Doesn't
So
matter
she's got a
though.
6th place ribbon and a 3rd place bronze medal. For
Doesn't-
her 3rd place bronze medal, she beat her record time by 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
For her 6th place ribbon, she beat her
Yes,
record
wow.
time by 12 seconds. So she actually did better, personally, to get the 6th place than she did to get the
Heavies.
medal. But it's just the way the race is and who you're racing.
It's very interesting. Was someone, where did you stay near the,
We've not had these questions. Do you want to answer this, Ella? Do you want to answer
Well,
the
no.
question? Where did we
Yeah.
stay?
Hotel.
Yeah.
the hotel?
The one in Dubai was the Hyatt.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And then the one in Abu Dhabi, what was that, Keira? Can you remember that one?
Yeah, it's called the Radisson Blue.
Radisson Blue and the Hyatt.
Radisson Blue.
Where
The Hyatt reminds me of Hassan Hyatt.
Hassan Hyatt.
Oh, the
Hamadan.
Hayek was quite exciting for me.
What
though.
was the food like, guys? What was the food like in the hotel?
Real
It's
thing.
very nice.
It was very nice.
What sort of meal, what meals did they serve for dinner?
Well, it was very different to LA, but this time it was proper meals.
What
You
was it,
know.
just to start, what was it like in LA?
You were staying more in, if I'm right, I wasn't in LA. But you were
Yeah,
staying
it was
more
more
in like dormitories,
university. Yeah,
university
it was more like
accommodation.
universities in LA, and the food wasn't that great.
Was it like a canteen? the food?
Yes, yeah, canteen kind of
So
food.
like
So
a
you
school.
had like the best.
Whereas
best
where
of the
we went
best.
in Abu Dhabi and
You know,
Dubai,
Abu
it was
Dhabi
a
was
restaurant.
amazing. It was lovely.
Every meal you could have
restaurants.
a curry.
Yeah.
Every meal
Chicken
you
curry.
could have a stir fry. Every meal you could have vegetarian or gluten free.
Wow.
Then you could have like steaks cooked for you, kebabs cooked for you. You could have salads to your heart's content.
Yes,
It was
the
amazing.
breakfast was amazing in Abu Dhabi, but in LA you got given a muffin, and we're on a bus at like 5:30 in the morning. We had to get up at 4:30,
We had full
and that was
breakfast.
awful. Well, you guys had 4 breakfasts because you were coaches, but you know, because you could. But you know, I had different breakfasts. You know, mostly like healthy cereals in the morning.
And in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, we could have, again, whatever we liked, a choice of whatever we wanted. And then when we went to the Formula One track, they also cooked 3 meals that you lot could go and
Yeah,
get
that
during
was
the day.
really important.
Any drinks you wanted all day long, they kept filling the fridge up. It was awesome. They were really spent a lot of money on it.
We were looked after.
And were the staff nice?
They were so helpful. If you needed anything, they would do it. It's not a problem.
The staff, the
know.
volunteers, the
They're so
Emirati
nice.
people. In the United Arab Emirates, there are a lot of people that live there who are not from the Emirates originally. They're from like the Philippines or Bangladesh
Oh,
or
wow.
Pakistan. And especially those people were amazingly friendly and looked after our every need. But the Emirati people were really friendly as well, weren't they?
It would be wonderful for us who haven't done to go somewhere like that. But it sounds absolutely fantastic. It really does.
Well, I think that you'll probably be able to get, even if you're not competing, Luke, you'll be able to get to come and visit what goes on at Liverpool. You definitely should come over. It's not so far.
We'd like to come and sit and maybe... Is it a proper stadium?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, apparently we're going to be racing at Aintree, which is the horse racing track.
Yeah, near the
for cycling.
horsey racing.
And
Yeah.
I believe they're using one of the football stadiums, either Goodison Park or Anfield. For
They're using
some of the
proper,
stuff.
yeah, they're using proper sports. You know,
Oh yeah, they're
Echo
using the Echo
Arena.
Arena.
Yeah,
the
so
big
they're
Echo
us-
Arena
they're
on
using-
the Merseyfront.
yeah,
for
they're
the
using
indoor sports.
proper
Yeah.
places for us to do
Oh, wow.
sporting stuff as well.
Opening and closing ceremony at the Echo Arena would be really
That's
good.
gonna be so cool. That's just,
That would be
But,
great.
but I don't think you're going to get the Radisson Blue and the Hyatt and all of the meals that we
No,
have.
we
Well, the
not-
Hyatt was good
not
because
here.
when we arrived there, it was actually my birthday, so I got to
Kira was
stay.
21
Yeah,
while
I
we
was
were there.
21
Happy
whilst I was in there.
21st.
Thank you.
And what
It's
did you
really cool.
get to do?
Well, I had a chocolate cake on the airplane, which was really cool.
I got everyone in the airport to
You
sing you happy
did. They
birthday.
sang to me as well, which was so cool.
Was
Really?
this while you were leaving England or when you arrived there?
Well, the singing, the happy birthday, that was in England, but then I had cake like during during the flight.
The
but it was
journey.
good.
And then they were nice to you when you got to the Hyatt Hotel.
They were so sweet.
And then you had a surprise party 2 weeks
I
later.
d-
that
yeah,
Mama
I
arranged, so you
did
had
as
the
well,
longest ever
so-
21st birthday.
And
Celebrate.
possibly the most exciting.
It was. It really was.
I remember going to Wales.
So
Come on,
what else do you
21.
like doing in your spare time apart from?
Hair and nails.
Hair and nails.
Just gotta put it
You
out
two
there.
also have something else in common that you both really love.
Music.
Music. They both love
Music.
music.
Love music.
And they both love
Music.
R&B and vaguely house music type things.
Ah.
Chat music,
music,
the hip
yeah.
hop, R&B.
Do you like meatloaf? Tim,
I
do you
don't, think,
like
I don't
meatloaf?
think meatloaf is on the agenda for me too. Meatloaf is not one of
Really?
mine, but I think that Chris and Adam might like meatloaf.
Bat out of hell.
Bat out of hell.
Oh, my favourite record.
I'm more likely to listen to Little Mix with Ella, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I do.
Little
You
Mix.
know,
Oh, Little Mix
Mix
is so good.
Or Chris Brown, or all of the other people that you listen
Yeah.
Rita
James
Ora.
Brown.
to. So they do a lot of that, these two, don't you? Talk with friends on WhatsApp, social
Facebook.
media.
Excuse me.
I'll go on.
I hate to interrupt, how do you use it? How do you use WhatsApp?
Usually I text, but then if I'm speaking to athletes in different languages, I'll use Google Translate, so then they can understand what I'm talking about.
Does it
And
always
sometimes I'll learn how to speak Spanish because one of the other athletes is teaching me Spanish at the moment, so I'm trying to learn Spanish.
work? Does it always work, the Google Translate?
Are you talking out of experience
If
here?
there's
Have you tried
signal-
Google Translate?
If there's signal, yeah, it does work. If you're in an area where there's no signal, then you're going to have to wait until there's like a signal.
But trying to learn Spanish is good for you to communicate with people around the world. So you can
Yeah.
speak in English or Spanish. It would be good to learn another. Are you going to try and learn another one as well?
I'm trying because a lot of the
Arabic
athletes
or-
that I meet, you know, they speak different languages, and a lot of the common, you know, is Spanish because of like Cuba, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina. They use a lot of Spanish, sometimes a bit of French, but yeah.
Have they answered your questions? Have you talked about all the other things you like to do, Ellie? We've talked about swimming, cycling, music. There's one more thing you love.
Food.
Well, you do love food. That's
Well,
true.
yeah, we're not talking about this now.
We're not talking about this now.
Nah.
What's the other thing you like to watch all the time?
Wolf blood.
Wolf Blood, yeah.
Oh,
you,
I used to
or
watch
Ella
that,
likes
it's so
TV
good.
and films and movies. Do you like that sort of thing as well, Keira?
Yeah.
You've got to have something to do when you're resting, when you're an athlete. You've got to have some downtime.
I do pin art though.
Pin art?
Yeah, so for me to do time out kind of stuff, I like to watch, you know, box set or something. But I like to do like pin arts and stuff whilst I'm doing that.
I think that's important to do.
Or sequin art. and
If
things
you're
like
going to
that.
go to a games or do an activity or do a sport, it's important to have something that you can do. There's a lot of waiting around at
Well,
games,
Peter
isn't there?
brought his colouring book to Abu Dhabi and he coloured in. Well, yes, there is quite a lot of waiting around, especially during like races and things.
It can get very boring, particularly if you've got a squad of 12 like we had and you're trying to wait for everybody's
Oh,
race.
yes.
We were having 14, 15, 16-hour days. That's a long time to be sat around waiting for your turn or waiting for someone to finish. So you're right, Peter brought his colouring book and it made me think something
We
I do a
should
lot
have
with
done
people
something
is I
like
should have
that.
got everyone a sketchbook and taught everyone different drawing techniques.
We did a lot of handman.
Excuse me, what times did they kick off and close down during the days? Was it like from
We'd
8
start-
o'clock in the
racing
morning?
would start about 10. But
Yes.
there'd usually be a head coaches meeting about 8 that I'd have to try and get to. And then a lot of Ella and Peter, their races were in the afternoon,
didn't
late
have
afternoon
very
when the
many
sun had gone
days
down.
off.
But Keira had quite a few in the morning.
I had a lot of early starts. A lot of other people got some. Well, I did have a bit. I had like one day of lighting, but then the rest of it was quite early for me because of the heat out there. If you're doing long distances, you need to do it earlier on because otherwise, if it gets too hot, you can't manage to go all the way around. So that's why we do it quite early. During my race, one of them, it was up to 100 degrees, and that was in the morning. So imagine trying to do a long distance race in the afternoon.
And if you think about
It's not
Keira's racing,
happening.
25 kilometres,
Yeah,
she's probably
25,
burning
10,
more
15.
than 2,500
Wow.
kilocalories, so more than a man's calorie consumption in a day just in that one race. Then battling the heat as well.
And one of my tyres blew up because
Yeah.
of the heat as
Yeah,
well.
we-
Just because of pure heat. Just went,
Our tyre
Sorry.
pressure, when we're racing in England, our tyre pressure, we're usually on a two-wheel racing
170.
cycle's about 100 psi.
it's
And when we
even
put
more than
100
that.
psi into tyres in Abu Dhabi and you go on the track and the track's
6
already
minutes.
60 degrees Celsius, bang, tyre explodes. So we had to learn to put the psi down to
Yes.
70 or 65 psi, which I've never
Just
done,
'cause of
even in the winter.
heat.
I had to make the tyres softer so that it didn't blow up in the heat. And I'm happy that I didn't have that problem. Tom, our head coach, Tom,
He sort my
he's the
back
one
out, didn't he?
that found those problems and then told me that, so I didn't have to deal with it again. I just took air out of people's tyres.
We
and
had to
blame
sort my back out. So.
them. We did, and we had Dan's go as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The tyre exploded because it got
Yeah,
so hot.
so hot and is that what the sun does over there?
What it does is it makes the tarmac hot, Luke, because we weren't used to it coming from the UK. We had no idea that the tarmac would get so hot and what that would do to the tyres. So we
Very
made some
quickly.
friends with the Egyptian and UAE mechanics, and they told us that this is what the problem was.
Yeah.
Was the stadium like the main stadiums? Outdoor?
It had an open roof, yeah, so
But,
there's
but all the seats were covered, weren't they? All the seats were covered under the stand.
Oh,
but the
yeah,
pitch
yeah.
was outdoor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
So it's
God.
a bit like
Like a
Old
football
Trafford
match,
or
but
Manchester
not.
United or somewhere like that.
Yeah, it's
But
like football arena,
bigger.
but not. Yeah, lots bigger than a football pitch.
So how are there any more questions? How are we doing? We're getting on for time. Are there any more burning questions, or are we going to lead to wrapping up?
I've got the Race for Life coming up in 2 weeks, which is for cancer research.
In Lister Park,
Yeah.
Keira, yeah.
So what tips have you got? Have you
What
got
tips
any
for running and race? You two hate running, but you do it, don't you?
I love running.
You love running.
No,
What tips
I
have we got
really
for
don't.
Hera Race for Life? Hera, are you
Drink
running with
lots
someone?
of
Are they going to
water.
have a like a bangle around you and them?
Yeah,
So you
an
run-
elastic.
Got an elastic band to keep you together.
Yeah.
My tip is lots of water.
Yeah,
Keep hydrated. Don't put too many clothes on. It's better to start off feeling a bit cold than too hot. Even if you're thinking, oh, I'm really cold, I need to put some. I wouldn't, because once you start running, you're going to get hot.
Eat like little and often, not too much whilst you're on it.
Is it 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres here?
5.
5.
Don't
My
have
other
like a
challenge
big
would
meal
be
before
drink
though.
lots of water, and even if it's hard work, see if you can keep running all the way through it. Even if you're just a gentle little jog, because you'll feel amazing if you get to the end of that challenge and you say, I ran all the way around that.
Yeah.
There's something very. I know you can walk in it, and people do, but you'll feel amazing about yourself.
So how do I because sometimes I run for 30 seconds and I get tired, but
Right, I wouldn't run hard for 30 seconds. I'd run gentle for 30 seconds, and then you'll have more energy.
yeah.
Try and control your breathing as well. So when it gets really hard, take really deep breaths,
In through your
and
nose?
that will help.
And out through your mouth. Okay, but I would go slower than you want to go. If you're saying you go hard for 30 seconds, then you've got no energy for the next
Yeah,
30.
don't do that.
Don't do the go hard bit for 30 seconds. Go half hard.
Yeah.
Okay, and just set out like that. But keep having the fluid, or you will regret it.
Yes.
We kept having to have lots of drinks, didn't we, in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
I just want to say we're going to wrap up for this week. So goodbye from the Henshaws crew and good luck to Hera for the Race for Life,
Thank you.
and especially good luck to Kim, Emma and Keira for the next games.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
very
having us,
much.
guys.
Thank
We
you.
just want to say we have really enjoyed this, and we hope to do something like this in the future.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Good afternoon.